November 3rd, 1983. This is Joe Todd and Francis Herron, an interview with Lanny Hughes. Mr. Hughes, where were you born?
Here.
Here in right here on the farm. When's your birthday?
12th April.
What year?
96.
1896. Who was your father?
J.L. Hughes.
J.L. Hughes? Where was he? I'm sorry?
Primitive Baptist preacher.
Where was he from?
From Sherman, Texas.
Who was your mother?
Sarah K. Burleson.
Was she from Texas?
She's from Sherman, Texas.
Mm-hmm. You say your father was a Baptist preacher?
Yeah.
When did your parents come to Oklahoma?
In 86.
Did they tell you why they came here?
Huh?
Did they tell you why they came to Oklahoma?
Why did they move to Altus?
Oh, get land.
Did they homestead on this land?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did they come by wagon?
Sure.
Did they tell you about the trip?
Yeah. They told me quite a bit.
Do you remember any stories they told you?
Well, when they come Sherman, Texas, they come out here with my cousin. I don't remember what his name was right now, but they had left him and my next to his brother, there was 4 children, and they left him and the other boy there on the farm with the nigger slaves. Mm-hmm. And so they cousin left and left them there on the farm, and so they picked up all the pretty bottles and things they could find and decided they'd come to Texas, from Arkansas.
From Arkansas?
And so in their collections was a coffee mill. Mm-hmm. And so they had stopped 2 or 3 times and discarded their heavy load, but they stayed with the coffee mill.
Mm-hmm. Did they talk about fording the rivers coming to Oklahoma?
Huh?
They talk about fording the rivers by wagon, the Red River.
Cross Red River.
Where'd they cross it?
At Doan's Crossing.
Doan's Crossing?
Yeah. And that's about the only crossing there was. That's where the cattlemen all crossed.
What would they do when they crossed that river, Mr. Hughes?
Oh, what did they do? They,
Was there water in the river at the time they came across?
oh yeah.
Well, describe to us what it was like.
Yeah, it run the wagon bed, but they crossed it anyway. Mm-hmm. And let's see.
How long did it take to get from Sherman to this area?
There's about 3 days, 4 days coming up here. And they walked and drove the cattle brought their cattle with them.
How many head did they bring?
Oh, I wouldn't say for sure. They didn't bring about a dozen.
Were they mostly milk cows, weren't they?
They were milk cows and
Yeah.
calves.
How many families came along? Was it just your family or was
With my family,
Mm-hmm.
his brother, maybe his two brothers, come along. They all come up here to get land.
Do they have to get permission to come into this territory?
Don't think so.
Because
Not
this
then.
this is before they organized Oklahoma Territory, 1890. Yeah.
And the Indians was right across the river here.
Tell me about the Indians they met.
Huh?
Tell me about the Indians they met coming up
Oh.
here.
The Indians were very friendly, except they had to go over. See, there wasn't a stick of timber anywhere, and they had to cross the river to get wood, and they'd give those Indians $1 for let them cut wood. And my father, he was arrested with 2 horse thieves and taken him to Lawton. And they kept the 2 horse thieves and turned him loose. He walked back from Lawton.
How come they arrested him?
Huh?
How come they arrested him?
Oh, he was over there in Indian Territory cutting wood. And so they turned him loose and he walked back across the prairie, and those longhorn cattle and things, they was asleep while he just hooped and hollered and walked right on through home.
Were there many people cutting wood in Indian Territory?
Many people.
Yeah. Was that a common practice to pay the Indians to cut wood?
Oh, no, they were very friendly Indians.
They were?
Yeah, they were very friendly.
Okay.
Mr. Hughes, why did your father settle on this exact piece of land? Did he know it was here before he came?
He settled on a section, but when it under Texas,
Greer County.
Greer County, Texas, and so when it become Oklahoma, he had to give up a half section.
How come?
He couldn't hold but a half under Oklahoma law.
When did it change from Texas to Oklahoma?
In he come here in '96 and settled on a section, and he couldn't hold but a half. And I think that was in '96, 14, what?
Okay.
Seemed like it was 14.
So it changed to Oklahoma in '96.
Yeah, and
Okay.
went back to the river.
Yeah, back to the Red River.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and he gave that up to Mr. Little, the south half of this section.
Did Mr. Little pay him for it, or did he just have to give
He
it to
gave
him?
him $300
Uh-huh.
for the fence around it.
Did you say your parents came here in '96 or '86?
86.
86. Okay.
80.
Were you born in Texas or Oklahoma?
I was born right here.
I mean, was it Greer County, Texas or Greer County, Oklahoma?
It was Greer County, Texas at that time.
Okay.
When and then changed back to Oklahoma.
Where was the nearest town?
Nearest town,
Yeah, from here.
well, we done all of our freighting from Vernon in that day, but Martha, a little town up here, was here at that time.
How big was Martha? What do you remember of early day Martha?
Oh, Martha was just a store and a blacksmith shop and a little church, I believe.
Who was the blacksmith in Martha?
Pastor.
Who was the blacksmith?
Oh, Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Was there a school there? Where did you go to school?
No, I went to school at Wheatland.
Where was that?
It's 3/4 south and a mile east. A 3-room schoolhouse.
Was that on what's now the highway?
It's right in the middle of the highway.
Mm-hmm.
What year did you start?
Started well, I started school in Granite when I was 7 years old. My father ran a gin up there at that time. And I went to school, I started school at Granite.
What was the name of that school?
Just Granite School?
It's Granite School, as far as I know.
I bet it was.
Yeah. It's
How-
still
how-
up there in the same location.
How long did your dad own a gin up there at
He
Granite?
done it 3 years.
3 years. Then you moved back here.
Yeah.
What kind of house did you have on this? Do you remember your early home?
Here,
Mm-hmm.
it was a L-shaped house,
Was it a frame house?
4 rooms,
Made out of wood?
half-dugout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. That's all I had.
How deep was the half dugout? How far down in the ground?
Oh, it had small windows up on top. It was about, I'd say it's at least 4 feet in the ground.
Mr. Hughes, did you walk to school?
Sure.
No horses?
Yeah, we all walked 1.75 miles. We did.
Did you ever help your father in the cotton gin?
Ever help him?
Yeah.
No. All I ever done is go down to the gin and haul my wagon load of cotton seed up to the house to feed the cow.
As a little boy, what kind of chores did you do around the house, around the farm?
I did it all there was to do to milk the cow and fed the horses.
How many cows did you have to milk?
1.
One.
Did you ever sell milk and cream?
Me?
Did your mother sell milk
No.
and cream, or have you and
She
May
never
ever?
did.
Did
And
you and May?
I did.
Mhm.
I've sold. I've run a dairy for about 10 years.
Did you?
Where was the dairy?
Here,
Right here?
they got to stealing my cream, and I got mad and quit them and put the calves on the cows. I wouldn't sell them no more milk.
What kind of cows you have?
I just had mixed cows,
Just mixed cows?
mostly Jerseys.
What years did you run the dairy?
Oh, let's see. I forgot all about it. I married in married in 14. And
Was it during World War I and World War II that you had it?
I run her during World War One.
World War One.
And World War Two.
To
I
that.
run it to World War Two.
Yeah.
And I quit my dairy just as soon as the war was over. That was that
About 45?
About 45.
about 45.
Couldn't sell it, could you? They didn't pick it up.
Well, I quit the dairy just as quick
Yeah.
as the war was over.
Let me regress just a little bit. Did your parents or grandparents ever tell you stories about the Civil War?
Yeah, my father used to tell me about his father was a doctor during the Civil War.
What was his name?
John Lanny Hughes.
What did he tell you about your grandfather?
Well, and then he died during the Civil War, and my mother married again, grandmother. She married again, and then he killed her.
What did your father tell you about your grandfather being a doctor?
Well, I don't. That's about all I remember about it.
Yeah. Which side was he on?
Uh,
North or south?
oh, he was on the south.
On the south?
Yeah,
You said he was killed in the Civil War?
yeah.
Where was he killed?
At I think it's Sherman, Texas, down
Was there a battle there at Sherman?
there. Huh? My father was left there when he was just a kid and come here. Oh, that's it. No, he is at Little Rock, Arkansas.
Little Rock. Okay.
Yeah, Little Rock, Arkansas.
Can you remember any special stories that your mother or daddy told you about their lives?
That's about all that he ever told me about. About that. My grandfather was a red-headed Irish doctor. And after he died, why, she married and this guy killed her. That's about the end of it.
Did anyone tell you any stories of the Spanish-American War?
About the past war,
No, the Spanish-American War, 1898.
well, no, I had a brother that, I don't know whether he ever went to war or not. Don't believe he did. But he's getting up about the right age to go.
Because you know, Teddy Roosevelt came through this area
Yeah,
and got volunteers for the Rough Riders.
yeah.
Did you ever meet any of them?
No, I never met any of them. I heard of them, but I never did. He got a gang of them.
Do you remember the Depression of 1907?
The what?
Depression of 1907.
Depression?
Yeah.
No, I was pretty small.
Okay. What about statehood?
Huh?
Statehood Day, when Oklahoma became a state, 1907.
1907.
Yeah.
Become a state.
Yeah. Do you remember that day?
1907. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Were there big celebrations around here?
Yeah,
Tell me about them.
yeah. Oh, I don't remember much about it.
You just remember being excited about it?
Huh?
You were excited about
Oh,
it?
everybody's excited.
Did you have newspapers?
In 19,
What newspapers brought you the information?
it was, Altus had a little paper at that time. And 1907, I believe that's the year everybody had the flu, wasn't it?
Now that was 1918. Or was it maybe 1907 also?
Well, I don't remember.
1918?
Yeah.
1918 is when
Yeah.
they had the flu.
Ever remember when people were shooting the anvils?
Shooting the animals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Why, they come by and killed everything but your milk cows. And they didn't have grass for them, feed for them. Back in the Depressions, they come through and just shot them down. Taking the hides, that's all that's working thing.
Now when was this?
Huh?
When was this? What year?
Was it before World War One?
No, not for World War II.
Was it in the 30s?
Huh?
30s? In the 1930s?
I believe it's in the 30s.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't be sure.
Yeah. Tell me about World War I, 1917, 1918.
Well, I signed up to go to war, and I was a foreman, and I had one child born, and they told me to go back home and wait till I was called. I never was called.
Do you remember Armistice Day?
Armistice Day, yeah.
Tell me about that day.
Well, it's a big celebration during Armistice Day, and I had the flu, and I got up and, well, I was living in town at that time.
In Altus?
Yeah, I moved up there and worked at the wholesale house for 3 months. And I didn't have anything to do and didn't make any crop. And so I had the flu, and there's bells was ringing, the whistles were blowing, and I got up and put on my overcoat and went downtown, stayed a little while, and I come back to the house and went to bed, and I everything but died. But I called my folks. They was living out here, and they come to town to see me, and I told them that if my lungs didn't close or didn't open up, that I wouldn't last very few minutes. I was conscious, but they began opening up.
Did many people die from the flu?
Oh gosh, couldn't hardly get people to bury them. So many of them died.
What kind of medicines did you take?
Huh?
What kind of medicine did you take for the flu?
I don't know. I don't remember what kind of medicine to take.
Any old home remedies that you used?
Huh?
Any old home remedies that you used?
You know.
Remedies, you know, like your mother's
Oh,
old
that's
fashioned.
all we had to take. Home remedies.
What kind of
Turpentine and coal oil and things like that.
did your mother make any home remedies for the flu?
Sure.
What'd she make?
Give us turpentine and coal oil on her chest, and coal oil and grease so it wouldn't blister,
Little sugar.
and a little sugar.
Did you ever take any whiskey and sugar for coughs?
Oh yeah, that's all we had for cough. My father, he was a primitive Baptist preacher, but he always kept a little toddy in his cabinet. And us kids get sick with a cold and thing, we got a hot toddy to go to bed on.
Mm-hmm.
What caused that flu?
What caused it?
Where'd it come from?
Nobody knew. I don't think it did.
I
They
don't.
just taken it.
Yeah, I heard that, some of the boys coming back from Europe.
But actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mr. Hughes, what were the times like before and after World War One? Could you sell your crops? Could you get good
Yeah,
prices?
they got better after the war. Yeah, everything got to be a good price, and the cotton got down to 3 to 4 cents a pound, and it went up to 7 and 8 cents. And we began to make a little money.
Then what happened after the war, after World War One?
Yeah.
Did it go down again?
No, cotton went on up. Oh, cotton finally went on up to 80, 90 cents.
What kind of crops did you raise here on the farm?
All cotton and maize and wheat.
How much cotton could you pick in a day?
My biggest day of picking was 300 pounds. I never could pick cotton. And I pulled 500 pounds of bowls one time.
That's a lot of bowls, though.
Yeah, but that was my biggest day. That was just one day.
Mr. Hughes,
I
Tell
always
us.
had something else to do.
yeah, you were busy. Tell us how you got started to build up the different farms. You've bought farm after farm, and I know you own a lot of land. How did you get started in that?
Well, my mother lived to be 84 years old. And my father died, and he asked my mother to sell me 50 acres of land. See, I was the youngest of 12, and I didn't have any land. So he asked her to sell me 50 acres of land. So, which she did. Well, I soon paid her for that 50 acres, $100 an acre. And then she had a $6,500 loan on this farm when my father died. And so I didn't have any house and barn here. And I told her, my mother, if she'd let me have 62 acres of land here, so I'd have this house and barn, or another house, why, that'd still leave her 200 acres to draw rent on, and that I'd see it she have a living the rest of her life. So she did that. Well, I had 35 years to pay this loan off. So I went to work paying this loan off, and I soon paid it off. And so that's how come me with this farm. And then I got big enough to where I could farm the whole half section. And so then I bought the other the rest of the kids out on 200 acres. I bought them out. So that's how come me with this farm.
Mr. Hughes, they tell me it takes a special kind of farmer to farm this kind of land. Why is that?
Well, it blows, and you can't get in and work it when it's too dry because it'll blow with you.
What kind of land is it?
It's a sandy loam, and it holds moisture good. It doesn't dry out too quick.
That's the Salt Fork?
So forth. All the lake of water from here back. And so that was one time. And it flooded in 91, my father told me. And it's 30 days before he got to cut his wheat. And he had to drive a turning plow in front to hold the bull wheel so he could cut his wheat.
Have you lost any land to the river?
Huh?
Have you lost any land to the river?
Yeah and no. I lost some, and I retrieved it. I went down and put me up a 4-foot border to turn that river off a farm north of me so it could go back to the river.
What kind of border was it? What was it made of?
Dirt,
Dirt?
4 foot high. I ordered a grader to come in here and throw me up a border to start in up here and catch this water coming off of this other farm. It'd run back behind that border and go back into the river with some old lakes and things.
Well, did you seed it with trees or something to keep the next flood from washing it away?
No.
It just stayed there, huh?
Just stayed there. It soon, I sowed it in Bermuda grass, this border. And it soon grassed over. And it kept that water, and it's still down there.
Do you think there's danger of this river changing its course, making a new river anytime with the next floods?
Well, I can't say about that river. It does as it pleases.
When did you put up that border? What year?
Well, soon after that river come up here close to my barn. I don't remember just what year it was.
Yeah.
Has the government...
That's been a long time ago.
Yeah. Has the government given you any kind of help on
No help.
conservation? Have you tried?
Huh?
Have you tried to get it?
No, I never tried. I was always pretty independent.
What was farming this land like in the 1920s?
1920?
Yeah.
Oh, we had some tractors then. It changed completely.
When did you get your first tractor?
Oh, let's see. 27,
What kind was it?
International. One of them old bicycle types.
Mm-hmm. When you had a walking plow,
Huh?
you had a walking plow before a tractor?
Yeah.
How much land could you plow in one day?
Oh, you could plow 10 acres.
Then with your tractor, how much could you plow?
Oh, I could plow about 20. And then I bought an old Oliver tractor first. He wanted to sell me a tractor, and I told him, I said, if you can, I had a lower place then. I said, if you can go through my field with that Oliver tractor, I'll trade for it. Try to. He come out there, run off in one of them blow sand holes. Wasn't over 3 or 4 feet deep, but it's sure enough sandy. And he got that thing stuck. And so I said, well, if you let me have it, I'll get out of the field. He said, well, get it out if you can. So I got my 2 or 3 posts, and I just catwalked it around like that. And I got it turned around, got it up on top of a couple of ridges, and drove it out.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't make a sale.
Did you farm mainly with mules or horses?
Yeah, horses, mules. Yeah. Hauled all of our cotton with horses, mules. I had a pair of old red mules that I could put near send them to the gin.
Where was the gin?
Martha.
Martha? Who ran the gin?
Who run that gin?
Was it Pet Emerson?
Huh?
Pet Emerson?
No, Pet never did run it. Oh, we built that farmer's cooperative gin. And way back there, and we had chicken shade gins there. And they got to charging us our cotton seeding $3 a bale, to gin a bale of cotton. So we griped about it, and we decided to build us a gin of our own. So we built that gin we must build that gin back in 14. Something like that. And it's still operating.
It is.
And I was on that gin board for 15 years. I got sick and resigned.
Were you ever on the school board, Mr. Hughes?
Huh?
Were you on the Martha school board? Were you
Yeah.
ever on the school board?
Yeah.
How many years?
Well, I was just on 1 year on the school board. And then Earl Hughes, east of town, they run him, elected him on the school board. I wanted to cut the wages, and he wanted to raise the wages, so he got it.
What were teachers making then? Do you remember? What were teachers making? What salary?
What teacher's name?
No, what was the salary they were making when you wanted to cut it? You remember? 70, 80?
Oh, they're making $100 a month. but labor was just $1 a day, $1 a day.
Mhm.
And I was always in for saving money and making money, and I was going to cut their wages.
Mr. Hughes, do I remember that a Negro school was on your place somewhere?
Who?
Was there a Negro school on your place?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
No. Oh, I had a Negro family here, and they had a little girl about school age, and so I called the school board. I told them, I said, I've got a little colored girl on my place, and she's school age, and I want someplace to send her to school. And so they got together and put her in the school up there at Martha.
Put her in school at Martha.
Yeah. And she's the first little colored girl that ever went to school. And they just thought world all of her.
Uh-huh. Well, did you have a Negro school right out here somewhere?
So later on, why, I had a 4-room house on the north side of the place, and I told them they could have a colored school up there. There's getting to be several colored children. So they run that for, and the teacher boarded with a colored family that lived here on the farm.
Who was that teacher? Do you remember?
Huh?
Who was the teacher?
Oh,
Did Genevieve Jones teach out here?
who?
Genevieve Jones. Remember her, Miss Jones?
No, I can't remember what her, that's been a long time ago. But she went to Altus and went to teaching school after she taught out here.
How did the kids get to school?
Oh, they walked. We didn't have no transportation.
9 months school?
Yeah. Yeah, we got a full 9 months.
What was that little black girl's name?
Huh?
Remember her name?
The little black girl?
Oh. I can see her, but I can't call her name. She's a little bitty trick.
Tell us about some of the things you did for fun when you were young people. Your parties. What types of parties?
Oh, we'd go to basket supper for something to try to raise money to get some bowl gloves and things. And we'd have popcorn parties, and string popcorn for Christmas, and things like that.
Square dances?
Huh?
Square dances? Did you ever go to square dances?
When I could slip off, folks would let me go. So I went to a square dance down here on the river. I finally owned a bunch of land, but they had a square dance there, and I remember they pulled a fight and they knocked one fella in a fellow named Crosby, lived across the river. He come over and they knocked him in the head with a bed slat, and they throwed him in a buggy and started home with him, and so they was having a fight and they were running one guy around the house with one with a pistol, and he got just around the corner in time to keep him getting shot. And so this fella, and I had my cousin come over. He was gathering corn for us that year. We went to that dance, and he's going to get out, and he said, "I'm going to get out, and when he comes around the corner, I'm going to knock him down." He grabbed big stout fella. I said, "No, you're not either." I said, "This thing's going to be in court." And I said, "We don't know anything about it." So I turned around and drove off. And sure enough, it was in court. And the fella, he left the country and stayed gone about 6 months. Come back.
Mr. Hughes, who were the homesteaders around here, the families that settled this land right around you? Who were some of them?
Well, Papa got this section, and he had to give up half section to Mr. Little. And then I had the oldest brother filed on the next. He is older, only one that's old enough to file. He filed on the next. And then Brown's, Uncle Joe Brown, filed on 3/4, and Joe Brown got I believe they got a half a piece. And then Brown bought another one. And then my wife's father come from Kansas down here and bought 3/4 of this place over here. He sold his land at Sedgwick, Kansas, come down here and bought 3/4.
Were the Russells here?
The Russells, no, they came later. They didn't come till after the war. They bought over here on the creek. And then Cottonies from Martha, they owned all of this land north of us up here.
How about the Bryce family?
Bryce family, they didn't come here till later on. They wasn't a settler. Now the preacher Bryce, I don't remember just where he settled, but I think that is south of town. He's a big, heavy set fella. That was way back there.
Has your land been in the Martha School District most of the time?
It's all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
When do you remember seeing your first car? When did you own your first automobile?
1908 Buick, second-handed car. My father bought it. You had to crank it, and it was on a right-hand drive. The gear shift on the outside.
Did you have many trouble with horses with your car driving down the road?
With horses?
Yeah.
Oh, back then, you'd have to be very quiet trying to get by. Some of them would just turn a buggy over. You bet.
Did you ever have a balky old horse?
Have I?
Tell us about it. You remember anything?
Oh, I bought a beautiful, I traded an old mule about 17 hands high. Could put the harness on him. I traded for a beautiful horn gray mare weighing about 1,200. And I was determined to make her work. So I put her and another horse to the wagon that's cleaning out the barn. And then I had a pair of red mules. I tied them to her neck. And I was determined to make her work. I stretched her neck about that far, but she never did work.
She didn't work. It didn't work on that.
She just did not pull.
Mhm.
I think the collar hurt her.
How did the Depression of the 1930s affect you and your family?
Huh?
The Depression of the 1930s, how did that affect you?
How did it affect me?
Yeah.
Like I broke me. I had a little money borrowed, and I couldn't pay that off. I couldn't borrow no more. And it had me between a rock and a hard place.
Can you remember what banks went broke in Altus and which ones lasted?
Oh, the First National stayed. And that's when I was over to the other bank, and I couldn't borrow no money, and so I had some cotton papers over there. We could have cotton papers, sell it, you see, and put the papers in the bank. And he wouldn't loan me no more money. And I went over to First National Bank and told H.B. Ballinger there wasn't a tighter man in Jackson County than H.B. Ballinger. And I told him that I was out in the cold and I need some money. I needed, and I said, they won't loan me any more money. And so Boyd McMahon, he said, well, let me talk to Boyd a minute. He said, so I stepped out, it's closing time. He come to the door and called me. He said, you come back in the morning. I'll let you out. What you want. So Boyd walked across the street with him, put his arm around me and said, you didn't have to wait outside to see whether you could borrow some money or not. He said, anytime you need money, you come get it. He said, I'll stay with you. And so I stayed with that bank from then on. So I'm still doing business with it.
Do you remember a lot of people around you that lost money in that bank? When the bank closed, they lost the money they had in it?
Yeah. Well, we could only get $10 a day out of it when it was closed. But I didn't lose any money. I owed them some money.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people did lose.
Yeah, I owed them some money, but I finally got it all paid out.
Yeah.
Did they get any of that money back? Anything on the dollar?
We got it all back.
Well, like Mr. Clarkson that lost so much there at Martha, did he ever get any of that back?
Who?
Mr. Clarkson, did he ever get any of that back? Any of the people?
Oh,
Did the bank pay back anything?
yeah, they paid it back.
Did they?
Yeah, yeah. I remember Mr. Coxton had quite a bit of money in the bank because I didn't have any.
Did many people around this area go to California in the 30s?
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them went to California.
What do you remember about the dust storm days?
Huh?
The dust storm days. Tell us about them.
Who?
Dust storms.
Oh, we used to have 3-day dust storms here. Come in from the north and just rain dirt all over everything. Just, we had an old lady live down here, right between here and the Wheatland schoolhouse. She's a wicked old lady Tinney. Clayton Tinney's grandmother. She said you can just write hell and damnation all over.
What did it do to your farm, your crops?
Well, it didn't do anything to my farm. It made it better. It sifted that sand down on it. It just like rain and come down and they claim that it made this land all better through here.
It might have helped your land, but it didn't help Mrs. Hughes' disposition, did it, to clean
No.
it out?
Oh, no.
What did Mrs. Hughes do to try to keep the sand out of the house, the dust?
That is all. Raise a family. We raised 2 boys.
What did she do to keep the dirt out?
Clean the house every day.
She roll up the rugs or anything?
Yeah, dust the rugs, put them out on the line, beat them with a stick. Oh, hell.
You were class parents for many years, weren't you?
Well, I've paid taxes since 1914, I guess.
Class parents.
Huh?
Were you class parents?
Yeah, but we were class parents for 4 years. At Martha School.
Did you do anything special to keep your land from blowing away?
Well, just try to keep it plowed, fresh plowed, is all we could do.
Did you keep cover crops in it, on it in the
Try to
spring?
keep cover crops on it, or try to leave our stalks on till after the March winds and things like that, and then get in.
What's the worst winter, most severe winter that you can ever remember?
Oh. I don't remember what year it was. It was when the Altus Lake froze over, and we'd go out there and take an old Ford car and drove all over that lake. It froze over. I don't remember just what year it was.
You've seen a lot of changes in this county, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
How have farming methods changed?
Huh?
How have farming methods changed over the years?
Oh, man. It's quit the horses and mules and went to tractors and from a 1-row lister to 8-row lister and from a thrash machine, bundle wagons to combines. Oh, been an enormous change in farming.
How did irrigation affect you? What do you remember about the irrigation being put
Well,
in?
I was going to Mangum one day and they just brought a well in, or bringing it in up here north, Martha, mile north and 2 east, and I said, how long before you could come down and give me a test? Well, he said, it'll probably be next week before I could get to it. But said, well, when you get to where you can, if you find anything, I want you to drill it. He said, okay. So I went on the mango and they was pumping that little 6-inch well. So I went down there in just about the center of my half section here. And I said, I'll put it right there. Well, he said, that looks like it's in the low. I said, no, I've waded water all over this farm, and I never did wade no water here. So he said, okay. And so he said, it'll be 10 o'clock before I get down there. He said, I can't find the right size casing. And so he started drilling, and he said, I can get it if you let me put a extra 2-inch casing on top. Why, I've got enough casing to drill it. I don't, okay, put it on. So he started drilling. He said, you better get a lister and run me a furrow out here, so I'm going to have water running out of here by 4 o'clock. I said, okay. And so I got my old Canton planter and went out there and made me a water furrow so I could run the water away. And he said, you know what you got? I said, no, I have no idea. He said, you've got between a 4 and a 5,000 gallon well. What'll I do with it? I said, I never heard of such thing. I said, you got it. And he said, here's the black rock, here's the black rock, here's the black rock. I said, what are you talking about? He said, that's what I've been hunting, black rock. And you got it right here. Well, I couldn't. He'd come in and stood in 10 feet at the top of the ground. And so I couldn't sleep. And I come in, I had to borrow the money to get it drilled, $1,000, case it. I thought I'd just call you and tell you. He said, well, you go to sleep now, and I'll set up and worry it'll daylight.
Mr. Hughes, this is such jip water up and down this river. How did you get good enough water to irrigate?
It's good water.
Ours isn't.
Huh?
Ours isn't down there on the old Brown place,
It isn't. Oh, mine's good water.
is it?
Now, I've got government test on it, and it said use it sparingly. Well, I've watered my alfalfa every month, just flood it, and I just used all the water I wanted, and it still hasn't hurt my land.
Do you use it in your house too?
Huh?
Do you use that same water, or you?
No, I didn't. I didn't pipe that water to the house. I'm buying water.
Yeah.
I'm on this water line out of the come through here.
Mr. Hughes,
But,
has the water table gone down in this area?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't believe it's gone down a bit.
Mr. Hughes, why didn't you get on the irrigation project from the lake? Did you have a chance?
I didn't need it. I didn't want that stuff. I had water of my own.
Is it more expensive to operate your own pump than it is to get that?
All that cost me is just the power to lift it. And I've got a mile line runs full length of this farm, and with a riser over 200 feet, and I can use my sprinkling systems and come right on up both ways. Yeah, I can sprinkle better than I can flood.
Did you have a wind charger out here?
Huh?
Did you have a wind charger out here?
I have had, I don't,
When did you get electricity here?
I get out of Tipton.
What year did you get it?
Oh, well, I don't know. I got out and worked for it. Got everybody on the line I could get. I don't know just what year it was. You,
Could have been in the late 30s.
I'm talking way back there several years ago.
Did you have electric power by the time World War II came along? Did you have REA?
Yeah. I got out and worked and got everybody to sign up at Wood and help build this line.
Did you ever have trouble getting on the telephone line this far out?
Well, we were on the Martha line, and no, this north line is the Altus line. So I didn't have a bit of trouble getting on the Altus line, but my brother run the telephone office up at Martha, and we had a set of bells. His bells rang different from the Altus line. So.
Tell us about your road situation out here. Have trouble getting your commissioners to build you some roads?
No, we've always had, this ground here is good roads, and we always have good roads. We've never been blocked except for the creek got out time or two, and we'd have to go by Martha. Outside of that, our roads stay good.
What did you do during World War II?
Huh?
What did you do during World War II?
I farmed,
Farm?
yeah.
Did you have trouble getting help?
Huh?
Did you have trouble getting help?
Oh, couldn't hardly get help. I just have to get in there and do double duty.
What would you do? How did you get cotton pickers when it was picked by hand?
Get them out of Dallas,
Was there a POW camp at
those
Tipton?
colored people come up here. I used to have a house right down here in the corner, and then I had another little house out here, and I'd get those Dallas niggers to come up here.
Yeah. Mr. Hughes, do you remember when they had the POW camp, prisoner of war camp over there at Tipton? Didn't they have, do you remember?
Yeah.
Did anyone use prison labor? Did you ever?
No. They never got out. They didn't have nowhere to go. Didn't know where to go.
Where did they bring those people from?
Huh?
Where did they bring those prisoners from?
Cuba, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know. No, I don't know where they came from.
Were they German prisoners?
Huh?
Were they German prisoners?
No, that's Cubans.
Could they have been Japanese?
No, There's all Cubans.
Let me see. What else?
Tell us something about the best price you ever got for your crops. Do you remember the most you ever got for a bale of cotton?
I got 50 cents a pound from cotton. It was the best cotton price.
What year?
That was right after the war.
Second World War?
Yeah.
In comparison to 30 years ago, what's farming like? You make more money or less money now for the yield?
Well, we make more money out of everything now than we did 30 years ago. I sold wheat for 30 cents a bushel. I sold cotton down to 3 to 5 cents. We make a lot more money now than we did then. But of course, farming is more expensive than it was then, but we can pay the bill.
What's happened that you have to use so much insecticide anymore?
Well, I think we use a lot more than we need. I sprayed my cotton and I only made $800 worth of cotton, and I paid my spray bill, and the only money I made was out of the gin paid me $10 a bale dividend, and I said then that next year, if I just make one bale of cotton, it's going in Lanny's pocket. And so the next year they come by and said, well, you're getting quite a bit of infestation. I said, let them have it. I said, I don't intend to spray. And he said, you won't make anything. I said, it don't make me any difference if I don't make but one bale of cotton. It's going in my pocket. I made a good crop, and been making a good crop ever since. I never sprayed. Too much. The fellow that is running the spray, he bought him a big ranch up here north of Mangum. He's the only man that made any money out of it. He bought him a big cattle ranch, and us poor devils paid for it.
Did you live mostly out of your garden during the Depression years?
Practically all of it. Raised our own meat and hogs, butchered our own hogs, butchered our own cattle.
Describe hog butchering for us.
Huh?
Hog butchering. Tell us how you butchered your hogs and preserved them.
Oh, the neighbors come in and help me butcher my hogs. And we'd take the wagon, go get theirs, and scald them and scrape them and hang them up and butcher them, lay them up on the shed for the night and cool them out. And next day we'd trim them and salt them down and sugar cure them or whatever we wanted to do to them.
What time of year did you butcher?
Oh, coldest weather we had in the fall. I'm a big norther. That'd be good time to kill hogs.
Yeah.
Does it get cold enough here anymore to kill
Yeah,
hogs?
it just don't get cold enough anymore.
Is our weather changing?
Yeah, it seems like our weather's changing. Sure is. Don't get cold like it used to.
The meat has to hang in really cold weather for a while, doesn't it?
I know. One time, I hung a hind quarter up on the north side of the house. We wrap a sheet around it, you know, tie it good and tight, hoist it up in the comb of the house. And so, let's see, doctor come by. Ms. Mabry, with Dr. Mabry, you remember him? He said, "What's that hanging up on the north side of the house?" I said, "That's a quarter of beef." I said, "How'd you like to have a cut off of that?" He said, "Okay." That's what he's hinting for to start with. And so I let it down, cut him off a rump roast, and I told him, "Now, you have Ms. Mabry to cut you off some steaks off of this in the morning and make you some good gravy to go with it." So he come back and said, "How'd you cure that?" I said, "Let nature cure it." He said, "That's the best beef I ever eat in my life." And so, but it's got to where you can't keep a beef anymore. Too cold.
Mr. Hughes, you remember the days during the Depression when you could go into some group, WPA or something, and can foods? Do you remember those days?
WPA day?
Well, when they had canneries and you could go in and they'd furnish the food and the cans. Do you remember anything about that?
I didn't remember furnishing much food in the cans. Yes, did too. They canned that beef up that they killed. Sure they did.
And you could get it free.
Yeah. Sign up for it.
Could anybody get it?
Yeah. Anybody could get it. Yeah, it was just cattle that they butchered.
What were wages a day in those Depression years? How much did you have to pay your help?
$6 to $1.
Long hours of work?
Sun to sun. You bet.
Do you think those are the good old days?
Huh?
Do you think those were the good old days?
Yeah. That was the good old days because we was all young and healthy. We didn't mind working, and that was sure some good old days. We'd go visit our neighbors. Neighbors come visit us. You couldn't beat it. Now you don't even know your neighbor. They don't know you got anything to eat or not.
What were some character traits what were some traits that your parents instilled in you that has made you a good community man and a good citizen?
Who? My father?
Your father and mother. What did they teach you?
Well, what they teach me?
That's made you a better citizen and a better American? Discipline that they gave you.
Well, main thing they tried to teach me to be honest and tell the truth. I used to have a sister, and she had a story, and Mom would call me and ask me, and she'd pin me there. I'd always tell the truth.
And she knew that you would.
Yeah.
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 Well, Mr. Hughes, I want to thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good interview.
We're going to close it because we don't want you to get too tired. When you talk too long, you may get a little bit tired.
I live here that long, why, be 100 years.
100 years, and you just could very easily make it. You know it?
And I've become a millionaire off this farm.
Yeah, you just worked hard though, haven't you?
Yeah, I never did mind work.
Nobody gave it to you, you earned it. Been good years and a good life, good citizen.
Yeah.